Good morning everybody and welcome to the ANZAC Day service for 2024. Any veterans that are feeling weary, there's seats there for you to take if you want to sit down. And we'll go on with our service. The Bunbury RSL acknowledges the traditional owners of the land which we meet today. We also pay respects to the elders past and present. With a tribute to the flags. I'd like to invite Captain Mark Schatz of the Salvation Army to say the Lord's Prayer.
Why don't you join with me as we repeat the prayer that our Saviour Jesus taught us how to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
We now have the hymn, Lest We Forget. I'd like to call on Lucinda Powell and Joel Thomas of the Grace Christian School for the ANZAC Requiem.
On this day, above all days, we call those who served in war and who did not return to receive the grateful thanks of the nation. We remember those who still sleep where they were left, amid the holly scrub, in the valleys and the ridges of Gallipoli, on the rocky and terraced hills of Palestine, and in the lovely cemeteries of France. We remember those who lie asleep in ground beneath the shimmering haze of the Libyan desert, at Bardia, Derna, Tobruk, and amid the mountain passes and olive groves of Greece and Crete, and the rugged snow-capped hills of Lebanon and Syria. We remember those who lie buried in the rank jungle of Malaya and Burma, in Papua New Guinea and in the distant isles of the Pacific. We remember those who lie buried amid loving friends and in our motherland and in our own far north. We remember those who lie in unknown resting places and in almost every land, and those gallant men whose grave is the unending sea. Especially do we remember those who died as prisoners of war, remote from their homeland and from comforting presence of their kith and kin. We remember those of our women's services who gave their lives in our own foreign lands and sea, and of those who proved to be, in much more than name, the sisters of our fighting men.
We recall those who gave their lives in the Royal Navy, the British Army, the Royal Air Force, the Merchant Service, and in other British and Dominion forces. And we think of those British men and women who fell when, for the second time in history, their nation and its kindred stood alone against the overwhelming might of an oppressor. We think of every man and woman who in those crucial hours died so that the lights of freedom and humanity might come to shine. We recall too the staunch friends who fought beside our men on the first ANZAC Day, men of New Zealand who helped to create the name of ANZAC. We think of those gallant men and women who died in Korea, Malaya, Borneo, Vietnam, Somalia, the Gulf, East Timor, Afghanistan, and Iraq, as well as in peacekeeping forces and on humanitarian missions defending the Commonwealth and other countries of the free world against a common enemy. May these all rest proudly in the knowledge of their achievement, and may we and our successors in that heritage prove worthy of their sacrifice.
Call upon those dignitaries here to go and get your wreaths for laying, please. last hope.
They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds unencountered. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Now the hymn, Our God, O God, our help in ages past.
Ages
call on the RSL President of Bunbury, Mr John Giomi, to introduce our guest speaker.
Our guest speaker today, Lieutenant Commander Ross Halsall, RAN, retired. Enlisted in the Navy in 1983 as an ordinary sailor, specialising in electronic support within an intelligence organisation. Ross was commissioned as a naval officer in 1986 and served for a further 25 years, during which time he served on numerous warships, including 2 deployments in the Middle East. His surface career also included time on board patrol boats, mine hunters. He was then transferred to submarines in 1993, at which time he was based in Western Australia. He was heavily involved in setting up the Naval's submarine school on Garden Island, where he headed up warfare training for officers and was in charge of communications, acoustics, electronic warfare training for enlisted men. Ross served at submarine headquarters as a submarine squadron's intelligence officer before finishing his involvement with the submarines as an officer in charge of submarine escape and rescue training and capability. Ross then became a naval harbour master for HMAS Stirling, during which time he undertook extensive ship handling and pilotage training. He was sent to be harbour master in Darwin to a project to deliver capabilities for the new Armidale-class patrol boats. The Navy utilised the experience he gained in the role by sending Ross to deliver the same capability in Cairns. Represent positions included time with the United States Navy, including on aircraft carrier USS Ranger. 3 months after, it was used for filming of Top Gun. He represented Australian at submarine conferences at NATO headquarters in Brussels and the first ever NATO conference in St. Petersburg, Russia, discussing submarines rescue following the loss of the Kursk. Ross's final time in the Navy was in South Korea as part of a 3-man investigation team sent to enlist in discovering the definitive cause of the sinking of the South Korean naval ship Choan in 2010. Rosser is the holder of Australian Service Medal, Kuwait Class, Australian Service Medal, Kuwait Class and Special Operations Class, Defence Force Service Medal with 2 class, Australian Defence Medal, Kuwait Liberation Medal and a meritorious unit citation. Ross discharged the regular Navy in 2011. His final day as a reserve officer was just recently on the 14th of April 2024. Now Lieutenant Commander Ross Halsall, Royal Australian Navy, retired. On discharge, Ross pursued a career in commercial shipping in becoming a captain. He was a senior marine instructor in pilot in Geraldton, where he also was acting harbour master. For family reasons, he took up a position as pilot in Bunbury and has since become a senior pilot licensed both Bunbury and Esperance for Southern Ports Authority, Bunbury Port Authority. Ross and his wife Monique married at Picton Church and have a family, children and grandchildren who were born here, have made Bunbury their home. His wife's father, mother and brother, who have since passed, lived and worked in Bunbury, making Bunbury the logical choice to move and settle in 2019. Captain Hassel and his wife intend to retire in the Dalyup area of Bunbury. I'd like now to call on Captain Hassel.
Thank you very much, John. For those that were at the dawn service, you'll notice some similarities in what you're about to hear, but I'm going to share the large majority of that address again today. Fellow veterans, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, boys and girls. It's wonderful to see you all here today remembering that we're not here to celebrate battle or to glorify war, but to demonstrate that the sacrifice of servicemen and women, past and present, is valued. In particular, we're here to show respect for those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country, not returning to their homes. In this modern world, it can at times seem that we are splintering into groups as identity politics seems to grow. It is easy to be left wondering about our collective identity as Aussies. Do we still have the ANZAC spirit? In fact, what is it? How did it come to be? The ANZAC spirit had its beginnings at dawn on this very day in 109 years ago, in 1914, when the then cream of a young nation's manpower was flung into battle on the Turkish shores of Gallipoli. The result was a military disaster, with more than 7,600 Australians and 2,500 New Zealanders killed. Additionally, more than 24,000 were wounded. Australia had become a nation under its own constitution only 13 years earlier and was an unknown element at Federation, a fledgling country of huge spaces and very sparse population. Narrowing down on the significance of this war, specifically on Bunbury, can reveal a more personal cost to this particular city. In 1914, when the war began, Bunbury was a town of little under 5,000 people. Yet the honour roll shows that 1 in 8 enlisted, with 593 serving in the Great War. Examining the figures a little closer, it can be estimated that with roughly half the population female, there was less than 2,500 males. About half of those would have been outside the 18 to 40 age bracket, leaving just over 1,000 eligible for enlistment. Deduct those in required occupations, such as train drivers, farmers, etc., and it can be seen that the 593 were more than half of the total available young men to enlist. Staggering, 593 strong young Bunbury men went to war. 124 never returned, making the supreme sacrifice. And many more who did return, returned wounded in body and mind. For such a small, tight-knit community, it must have been a staggering loss and a time of great grief. It, however, also became a time of great pride as reports of heroism of the ANZACs began to filter back. The ANZACs fought with a unique toughness, resilience and tenacity that amazed the other countries involved, including, not least, the enemy, the Turks. Even the British, who had difficulty in understanding the larrikin ANZAC soldier, gave grudging respect to the fighting men of the new nation. Suddenly, the rest of the world began to look at Australia not just as an offshoot of Britain, but as an independent nation of very unique and unusual character. The landing site at Gallipoli was the result of a mistake, and the terrain they faced was formidable, even without the guns of the fortifications looking down on them. On this day in 1990, I was a lieutenant on board the frigate HMAS Sydney, anchored in ANZAC Cove, and was taken ashore by boat, an Army Duck, for the 75th anniversary of the dawn service. I was in awe that the landings were even attempted. At that service, I had time to reflect on the powerful effect that names such as Lone Pine, the Neck, and Shrapnel Valley have on Australians. No less powerful are others, such as Tobruk in World War II, Long Tan in Vietnam, or Kazakhstan in Afghanistan. These names invoke thoughts of Australians fighting against odds that would seem so insurmountable that even to attempt to do so should have been unthinkable. That they took on the challenge undaunted is testimony to the commitment to their pride in their country, but most importantly, their commitment to their mates. ANZACs have fought in many wars and had significant victories. So why then, on April the 25th, do we seem, and I emphasise that word seem, to celebrate a loss? The term ANZAC doesn't refer to a battle. There was no such thing as the Battle of ANZAC. ANZAC refers to the people. We are not here to remember a great military victory. We are here to instead remember the people and their victories of great sacrifice. That, although performed individually, often out of sight, collectively gave us an identity to be immensely proud of as a nation. The fact that ANZAC Day is a day for the people is evident in the way we mark it. It's not a day of military parades and power with tanks and missiles on the streets. It's a day of gathering of veterans, reunions of old mates, of services, of community, of involvement and reflection, honouring our forebears. I remarked to the Mayor just earlier, it is wonderful to see the various elements of what makes our community coming forth and laying wreaths today. There's a lot that binds us together, far more than what separates us as individuals or individual groups. Although the last ANZAC has passed away and the ranks of those from World War II are almost gone, I note with great pride for the future that ANZAC Day ceremonies continue to draw record crowds. It is always for the hope of a better future that servicemen and women fight. So it is appropriate that the younger generations are in attendance to show that the sacrifices in that belief were not in vain. The pride and grief of Australia following Gallipoli formed the bond so strong that it made a statement to the world that we'd come of age and that our armed forces and our people were truly now of one nation. By coming together on April the 25th each year, that spirit of national unity is hopefully rekindled. Serving the nation takes many forms. Our men and women in uniform who have served in conflict stretching from Gallipoli to Afghanistan were only able to achieve what they did because of the backing of their families and the people of Australia. This too is part of the ANZAC spirit, and the dedication of those who support our servicemen must also be remembered. Australia today has changed from that land which the original ANZAC sailed. It, however, remains a country in which we are free to choose our future and establish our place in the world. And remember again, we come here today not to glorify war, but to remember those that have served our country during conflict and crisis, and in particular show our respect for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. ANZAC Day reminds us that wars are to be avoided, but when necessary, we must stand up for our values. It requires us to reflect on the past with pride, but also to look ahead and build on the achievement of our predecessors. By displaying the characteristics of the ANZAC spirit of mateship, self-sacrifice, courage, tenacity of spirit, we can enrich the Australian tradition. The ANZAC spirit of mateship and a fair go exists in each one of us. I firmly believe that. Therefore, let us be guided by the ANZAC spirit in facing the national and personal challenges that lie ahead. The life and freedoms we enjoy are the result of the sacrifices made by heroes of our past. Let us strive to be worthy of the memory of those we honour on this ANZAC Day. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to thank Ross very much for his wonderful service he's given us today. I have a little token of thank you from the members of the RSL for Ross to remember this day with, and I proudly present it to him now and thank him very much.
Thank you so very, very much.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Matthew Caballa, the musical director of the Bunbury City Band, and Louise Broford, who is the director of the Bel Canto Singers. We're now going to have the song, I Am Australian.
Thousand
hand over Mr John Gielmi, the Sub-Branch President of Bunbury.
I'd just like to say thank you to a few people for their support today, which gives us this great commemoration that we have here in Bunbury. To all the veterans, service members, for their turnout today, I think was marvellous, and I thank you all very much. I know we've got quite an ageing population, a lot of us, and we keep going, and that's the important thing. Special thanks to the guest of honour, Lieutenant Commander Ross Halsell, Royal Australian Navy retired, for his support here today. It's been wonderful, his speech, I think, really hit the ground with us. Special thanks to the Cenotaph Guard 710 training squadron here. I thank them very much for their support, and also 710 cadets that are out there in the parade at the moment. Wellington District Scouts, these are the cenotaphs from last night. It was quite cold, they were down at the main memorial. So Wellington District Scouts, Southern Forest District Scouts, the Bunbury Earth and Ocean Girl Guides, and then we had the Littlies, which are the Bunbury Sunflower Girl Guides. And I wish to thank them all very much for great support that we get from our guides and scouts. The Australind Senior High School Emergency Cadet Unit, I also thank them. They were on the Cenotaph Guard, the last group last night. 515 for their support of Cenotaph Guard today for the dawn service. Thank you. Captain Mark Schotts, Salvation Army. Bunbury Troop 10th Light Horse, wonderful ride down in a carriage. I've never had a ride like that in my life. I thought it was wonderful. And it's probably only once that I'll ever do it, but it was great. So the Bunbury City Band, Matthew Cabela, Musical Director and Drum Major. Matthew, thank you very much to the City Band for their great support today. This band's been supporting ANZAC Days here in time and memorial, and I congratulate them on their turnout today. First time with us, the Bunbury Bell Canto Singers. Thank the musical director. Wonderful to have you with us here today. I think they've done a wonderful job. I'd like a little clap for the band and the choir, please. Lucinda Powell and Joel Thomas for the ANZAC Requiem from Grace Christian School. Another old stalwarts, Brett Corkery, our bugler. Thank you, Brett, for your great support you give us on the bugle. Our piper, Charlie Phillips. I thank Charlie for his piping down at the dawn service. The SES, Bunbury SES, they're out there with us at the moment. Great support from the SES, very important part of our community, the SES. They're always there to help out, and I thank them very, very much for their contribution with us today. St John's Ambulance, quite often they turn up, they're run by volunteers on today. As far as I know, I think pretty sure they're volunteers, and I thank them very, very much for their great support that they've given us. They actually had a bit of work there this morning down at the dawn service, so thankfully they were there. Sean Thomas, where are you? Yeah. Sean's our parade commander. By geez, he pulled all you lot into gear, didn't he? Sean, thank you very, very much for your parade commanding this morning, and also for the main service here. The parade marshals, you'll see them out there, the RSL wardens. I'd like to thank them very much, because there's a lot of work goes into organising, setting up things, chairs and stuff, so thank you very much to those people. Andrew behind me here, Shaw, the Master of Ceremonies, Andrew. I've forgotten him before, but this time I'm making sure that I mention him. Thank you, Andrew, for your emceeing. Lottery West for their support. Without Lottery West to cover part of the costs, we'd be in trouble. So I want to make point of thanking Lottery West, great organisation. A lot of money goes back in the communities, as we know, supports heaps and heaps of different organisations throughout Western Australia. So thank you, Lottery West. City Council for their support. Mayor Jason, thank you, Mayor, for the support we get from the city. Not forgetting Bunbury Parks and Gardens, who get our memorial site down there in tip-top condition for ANZAC Day, and the other people that do the cleaning and all the rest of it from the city. I wish to thank them very much for their great effort. ACT West for the water they supply. There's a water cart here. Today it's not really hot, so we probably didn't need it greatly, but it's there if we need it, and I thank ACT West for that. Hancock Memorials, William Barrett and Sons, next door to the RSL, used their yard for the cars. So thank you, William Barrett and Sons. Total Sound, Lomax Media, Traffic Solutions for road closures. Particularly like to thank Aldermale, Lithium Plant Bunbury. They actually had the SSS caterers for the dawn workers' breakfast. So they supplied rolls and that for the workers this morning, so thank you. Mr Lloyd Harold, media screens. Every year he lets us use his big screens as a donation to us, and I thank Lloyd very much for his great support that he's given us. All the schools, well, how wonderful are they? They turn out every year for us, rain, hail or snow actually. Last year, as you know, it's about a washout, but the kids still turned up. They loved the puddles. It was a day we won't forget, I don't think. Today we've got a wonderful day, and I thank all those schools, senior and junior schools, for their great support. So thank you. One that quite often gets forgotten is our special thanks to our subcommittee and members and volunteers all, because it is a voluntary organisation and there's lots of people that support behind the scenes. Down there at the hall at the moment, we have people setting hall up and organising the catering down there. So I'd just like to thank all those people. They're not up here, but they're down there. Lastly, for anyone I've forgotten, I apologise. But the public itself, you, thank you very much for your support on this ANZAC Day. It's been wonderful to see the crowds come out, and this is just wonderful that for a commemoration, it nearly brings tears to my eyes when I look out there and see all you wonderful people. Lest we forget. Thank you.
We will now have the New Zealand and Australian national anthems. Ladies and gentlemen, ex-servicemen, this now concludes our service. Parade Commander, march the parade off, please.